Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Hope you're all fine and ready for this episode of how to get that revision done with the student. Dear teachers, getting revision done with the student has remained a Herculean task for all of us. How are we going to overcome with this? It's important that we overcome this because overcoming this particular kind of work will help us to go great guns with the student. Hope you're all making notes of my webinar because this is only one of its channel which gives you the exact required content for the student. That is, the teachers will get that additional help so that it is easy for them to conduct the CBSE specifically particular sessions for the student. That's how we will begin with how to create that program for the student in order to get that revision done with them. Y'all must now be ready as teachers to go along with the student to make them understand how the students are going to do their revision. There are all kinds of students in the classroom, those who are ready and self-motivated, and also there are students who are not so interested because the method of teaching did not suit them. But how do we bring everybody onto that common platform so that we as teachers will be able to understand the needs and necessities of students? Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Therefore, we need to imagine the students' agony and we need to understand that the students can't read the complete book, textbook, workbook, revision, question papers, everything. And we got to see that we need to explain to the students that there is a necessity to work very hard with them. Therefore, having a booklet is one of its kind. Having a textbook, having resources with them wherein they note down everything, all these are there as a regular task for the student. But the neuroscience will definitely ask for something which is very particular right before the examination, or nowadays what we call the assessment. Assessment is something where we call about how we are going to assess the student so that in future we are able to help the children. For that's how we have to understand the agony of the students, the skill of the student, where they are left out and how we are going to take them forward. Therefore, you need to work on individual child and see that every child has his or own method of understanding the concept. That's how we need to work on one page, one chapter. This is how I used to study earlier too, not knowing that this is this kind of work. And this is a traditional art of smart revision that still works in 2026. We have to guide the students saying that if they are not able to explain the chapter in one page, that means the content is not assimilated into their minds. Assimilating the content and see that it digests and runs through the veins has become an old-fashioned technique. But this old-fashioned technique will work for the student now during this time. Because just before examinations, assessments, maybe less than 1 month of a time for students to go, this 15 days of revision will help the students to go great gun. That's how the wisdom may sound old-fashioned, but yet it remains one of the most powerful academic tools even in a world of AI smart classrooms and digital notes. Earlier, the students have taken the digital notes, the students have used chat GPTs, they know what is a smart classroom, but how are we going to boil down this to today's work? That is, if the child is able to look at one chapter, that means the child is able to assimilate the content in them. That's how, as teachers, we have witnessed something curious over the years. The students study, they have resources. These previous year question papers are there with them, the videos are there. But the problem is also there along with this. The problem is lack of clarity. Are the students really clear in their minds about this content, or are they just dumping in the content into their mind? Dumping the content works only for knowledge and information. It doesn't work when we are working on the content and we have to produce the competency based skills for the final examination. That's how the students are having a lack of clarity, because earlier they have worked on so many things: competencies, skills, cognitive domain, affective domain, psychomotor domain. They've been hearing so many jargon words, but one page, one chapter is a miracle which is going to happen. It's not a note making activity. It is a thinking discipline among the students. How are the students going to organize themselves? Why revision fails for most of class 10 students? Why are they not able to go great guns? This is something which a teacher has to follow. Rereading the textbook creates that illusion in their mind that they are learning so much. But did they retain the content? Now what happens? Children go on browsing the textbook, take this textbook, borrow the books from their friends, and they try to work on it. But borrowing the textbook, giving their notes to somebody is not clarity in understanding. The clarity in understanding comes only when the students make notes. Now there is another concept with the students' work, that is highlighting the paragraphs in the textbook. They are only recognizing this. They're not recalling. Recalling has to be done for the students to scale up this ladder of apply, analyze, evaluate, create, because Bloom's taxonomy, remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, create. Remember, understand are the lower order thinking skills. Then, solving without analyzing their mistakes, the same errors are going to repeat for the student. When they are going to analyze whatever they do, they have seen their previous question papers, what the pre-term question papers, what the term 1 question papers, answer scripts, but they have focused on what was written well. Now the question here is what was not written well. That's where the students improve. Let a student take an answer and try and understand as to what was not written well and what is not going to work well with them if they continue with the same mistake. Then what they do, they try to solve the same problem which they know. They don't solve a problem or do go into that area where there is discomfort. Then they start writing, copying down all the notes instead of knowing the technique behind that particular work. Then studying everything equally, they don't prioritize. What is it priority? Is their priority like asking them what I don't know I'm going to study further, or what I'm going to know, what I can master, I want to just revise one more. For students believe that revision is about more number of hours. Parents also are under the mindset that more number of hours students have to stay back, they have to listen, they have to understand. Again, they have to study, they have to wake up in the morning at 4 o'clock, and that's not the way to have a structure for learning. High performers always have a structure. How their learning is going to, they will have a layered kind of learning in their minds. Now let us help them to create those layer kind of learning with what we call as 1 page and 1 chapter. For every chapter, the student prepares only one handwritten page, that is, one A4 size sheet is just enough for the student to condense the chapter. The first point they are going to work on is core concepts. What are the core concepts which are included here? What are the key formulas which are available? What are the mistake zones which are there, where they feel that there are mistakes which might happen, or we can also call these are the confused zones where they tend to spill off some other thing into this. Then comes the memory which triggers them. What is that hand holding they can have? They look at a picture, they look at a word. What are those kind of words which we can pitch in for them? Then, what are the examination questions in this particular chapter which have appeared, and how are the competencies being layered over there? This page becomes the final authority for the student. The first point they are going to learn is about the core concepts. What are the concepts? What's the teacher trying to tell in the classroom? And the second one will be the formulae or the key. If it is social studies, the years. If it is geography, one layer after the other, whatever is being written. The confusion points come for the third one, and the fourth one is memory triggers, exam-oriented patterns. What is that which we have? This one-page chapter will work wonders. It's not the textbook, it's not the guide, it's not the internet, it's not the ChatGPT. This single page will help the students to learn further. Why this old method still works well in this year, in this 21st century also? Now we have modern research which confirms that good teachers always knew how to see that, give that trigger word for the student so that the students can reconstruct the content. That means, say for a lesson, for a heading, there might be 5 words which cover the whole of the syllabus. Then, how much are we going to repeat? 2 to 3 days, this page can be repeated. It can be revised. Therefore, what are the words? What are the symbols? What are the sketches? Let the student make a sketch, one sketch every time. Then what's the metacognition which is going to happen? How is the child himself or herself understanding this metacognition? That is, how is the child understanding this weak area? This is what I don't know. This point, if the student can touch and if the teacher can help, setting a particular goal for the child. Every student, don't be under the impression that every student has to score a 100 out of 100. It's not necessary. It is possible. Possibility is a different thing. But it's not necessary that the student scores every time that 100 out of 100. Let us come out of that mania first, that it's a phobia, it's a mindset, it's thing which is not required, that the students have to score a 100. It's not necessary. Then comes the cognitive load reduction, that only essential part of it will be remaining over there. We must allow our brain to work. It is not one-way transfer that the whole of the content is going into the brain. How teachers must introduce this into the classroom? How are teachers going to bring this? Therefore, we give a quadrant for the children. One quadrant we can draw, and in that quadrant, top left side, we can write down the concepts in this top left side. Then again on the top right side, we can have formulas, definitions, what are the important things, keywords, what these keywords are meaning. Then come to the bottom side where we have mistakes or confused point. Bottom right side, what are the questions and how to revise them. This kind of pattern, dividing the whole of the chapter into 4 different parts, that is bottom left, top left, bottom right, top right. This way if we can arrange the concept, then students can write down very easily the concept and try and understand. Are they going to write the concepts, keywords when they are writing on the top left? Say, for example, electricity chapter is there. Current, voltage, resistance. This is all the chapter consists of. Then what are the formulas written over there? V equal to IR, Ohm's law, whatever we want to write, the formula, the heat, we can write down in the top right. Then comes the bottom left, wherein we have mistakes written. I mean, last time in my test I forgot my unit of resistivity. What is moles? Then ohms for resistance. Then what's the exam focus? Numericals with mixed circuits is something very tough for the students because they don't get to see this repeatedly. That's how in the mathematics, if you are working on examples, say trigonometry, what are the concepts you have? Sin square A plus cos square A is 1. Now what are the formulas you have? What are the mistakes you make? And what is that proof steps which we are going to write? Adjust the whole content in the quadrant. That's easy. See, something like a vision board for the children. They will find this happiness a lot when they are able to do the things properly. That's how, if you can write down now in front of me, like what are the concepts which we can have, then that will be a very interesting thing for the student. That is, when you are thorough with, as a teacher, when you are thorough, students also will be thorough with it. For example, in social sciences, if you have nationalism in India, the concepts, the Khilafat movement, the Dandi March, the terms Swaraj, Satyagraha, the mistakes. I am confused what happened in 1920 and what happens in 1930. Now, what are the exam focus case-based questions you have? What question last time I could not analyze? Now CBSE has slowly shifted on to skill-based examination rather than content-based examination. The content is just used for the student to analyze the skill out of it. Now the English one is the proposal, wherein you have, that's a lesson, you have a conflict and a marriage as the theme, and what is a terrible thing we have, what's a dialogue punctuation which I've forgotten, what's a character stretch. If you are able to focus on these bottom right points, then good, nothing like it. Then how are we going to do? First day, today you have created a 1 page. Then day 3 comes rewriting without the book. Now that it is all segmented, the students can write down what is in the top left, what is on the top right, and what is bottom. These all the student has a map. Let them draw one small picture for everything so that the students will have that interest in the figure when they write it. When they are understanding the concept, will be nothing like it for them. Like this, when 1, 3, 5, 7 days, if they are able to focus again, one time all the 4 parts, each time one part after the another part, then coming back onto the exam focus, it won't take much of a time. Within 15 days, the student will be able to write down the entire syllabus in his or her own handwriting, because the teacher is helping. The teacher's weekly revision ritual is just now to pair the student and exchange that 1 page sheet, because each child is writing a different one. Make each child tell what are the problems and answer them. So the whole lesson is there in their mind, but they are now trying to figure out, give that small sheet, and they are able to talk. How are they going to improve that mistake zone? The peer learning, that's the best way of learning. Holistic Progress Card recommend that there should be a peer learning. Now, they are celebrating that clarity. Now, they know, you must see the happiness in their eyes. You know, their eyes start twinkling when they know the concept completely. That's how the students will now not worry about the volume. They will only understand, oh my God, let me add one more point which I am not able to understand well. Am I able to shift this point which are there in the concepts onto exam focus? Or am I shifting the point of concept into confusion part? Am I able to explain without the book? Are the mistakes recorded or not? So this is how we can measure the depth. Let the student write the formulas correct again and again accurately. And is this page an exam oriented lesson or not? This is how we need to follow on it. What happens when this becomes a system? From panic, that's obviously there for the student, because they start from a stage where they don't know anything and they go on doing it, they go on planning it. And now from panic they moved on to planning. They now plan, shifting the terms from one quadrant to another quadrant. There is a lot of impact. Rote learning will go into the component of structured recalling. Students have to learn, but every time memorizing is something where they get that setback and they are afraid of. Now, the long hours are no more required. There is a high impact revision. So the students walk into examination hall not with the concept of a fear in their mind, but they walk in with confidence and everything flashes in their mind, so they are very, very familiar with what they are working. Therefore, what's the philosophy which is there behind this one page? How much you write is not the matter. How you write, what you retain. This will make the students understand that they are following certain process of writing. If in detail you want this 9-step process of writing this is just not note making. The first step is the slow reading step, wherein the students understand the content and not memorize it. Even now, today, it's not late. For start of today, dear children, dear teachers, help them read the chapter completely, because now that the students can comprehend, just read. Write down the 3 confusing ideas, the 3 important terms, and one concept you think is the backbone of the chapter. You want to divide that page by page, or you want to write down in one chapter one thing. Because these old school scholars do believe in absorbing the content rather than thinking that they should write a lot. Now step 2, close the book. This is a very important moment for the student. They must now rely on memory, because they must train the brain to bring back the content from their minds onto the paper. Now draw the 4 quadrant. That is the concepts which are there on the top left hand side, the formulae, the mistakes, as well as the examination focus question. Fill in the concept map. Before filling it, the student has to definitely read the content. Without reading the content, then it is tough for the students to pick up those keywords. Now, when they are filling the concept, let them not write too many words, too many keywords. That means they are still not thorough with the content. Not more than 7 keywords they should write. If they can represent by any picture, good. Or if they want to make a collage and stick on it, that is also good. That's how they are synthesizing the information, and they have a hierarchy, and there is a concept compression. Everything comes onto one way. There is a system. Therefore, the step 5 will be adding rules and structures. Whether they want to read the definitions, whether they want to read the format, whether they want to read the standard question patterns, the question paper, previous questions, everything they should be able to fit in these 4 corners. That's how they build the mistake bank. That means they just look at this, flip up this A4 sheets. They will come to know what are the mistakes they are going to make. Slowly, one mistake after the other, we can improve, because it's roughly about 1 month time. By 15 days, they should be able to finish off this exercise. Their weakness will now be turned into a strategy. That's how the exam radar falls on these, the focus questions of the examination. Therefore, what is that confusion part? Now the teacher also has an important information of the where the student is confused, and the student also has an important information that where he needs to go and ask for a help to the student or with the peers. What's the formula? Let them orally talk about the formula. Let them know how to do the basic, like a factorization in the quadratic equation. Why not something else? Why I should use this formula? That's very important thing. Which is it? That means the conformity of the content will come, how they should adjust it, and they confirm on the revision. Now they will have this passive thing coming into a dialogue talking to themselves. That's a 3-day revision loop what they can have. Today they can write down. 3 or 4 days also we can take. The third day again they go take it and they transform themselves on the 5th day. And the 7th day is day 1 is what they're going to write about 1 page, day 3 is what they're going to write without seeing, and day 5 is they're going to just focus where are their mistakes, and day 7 they're going to add new mistakes, shift the blocks from one part to the other. That's how this transformation happens with the student. This is one best method of revision. Hope you all like it, and I want to let you all know that if you have any other doubts, please ping me on a phone number 93982 I will give this in the description box once I finish it off. That is 93982 This point which we will have, that we can focus, and we will all be very happy about what's the best way of revising for students, because the best way of revising for students will be what the teacher knows and how the teacher guides the student. So, thanks for watching. Hi, I am Dr. Padmavati Tungaturthi from Teachconnect. I am a quality education specialist. I am a coach and manager for principals and teachers. Thank you so much for being with me, and the same needs to be continued to the classroom. Thank you and namaste.